Hi, today's topic will be on interactive case study 8, and basically description says description is immunosuppressive drugs are a large variety of different pathways in order to knock down the immune system. This is useful for this is useful for anyone who is having an organ transplant. Fighting an autoimmune disease or is sometimes used to treat non-autoimmune inflammatory diseases. The instructions are basically for this position, you will need to do several things. Walk the audience through the pathway leads to the downregulation of the immune system. The immunosuppressant that I have picked is azathiopurine. This is called Imurin. Azathiopurine is a purine synthesis inhibitor which can be converted into the body. It has a bunch of active forms such as the metabolite 6-mercaptopurine, and 6-thionosic acid. As azathioprine is metabolized in the liver before it is used in its active form. So its inactive form is in the liver. A metabolic pathway one specific metabolic pathway conversion is to 6-mercaptopurine. This is the active metabolite form, and of 6-mercaptopurine, which is a 6-thionosic acid. Azathiopurine inhibits DNA and RNA synthesis, which prevents the interconversion of any of the precursors of the purine synthesis, and it also suppresses the de novo purine synthesis. Azat Azathoprionine 6-mercaptopurine blocks the lymphocyte proliferation in vitro and the production of IL-2, which is called interleukin 2. This is a very important aspect of the anti-prolific activity. It's also important to note that xanthine oxidase it has a major and very important role in the catabolic activity of the 6-mercaptopurine substance. And it's also important to note that the allopurinol is used as or with the azathioprine. It is usually used in reduced forms to inhibit the xanthine oxidase pathway. This inhibition usually increases with the immunosuppressive, but isn't limited to that. And and then although the metabolites are whenever it's suppressed, the metabolites are usually thrown out in its inactive form through the urine. There's no reduction of it required. And certain important facts about this. So obviously, azathioprine crosses the placenta, but the drug and the metabolite concentrations are lower in the fetal circulation, which also shows that there's a placental metabolism. It's also important to note that it was studied in 189 women that were treated with azathioprine for various autoimmune conditions, and the rate of malformation or something going bad was about 3.5%, which is very similar to the general population. Um, it's also important to note that azathioprine interferes with the T and B cell proliferation by inhibition of the nucleic acid synthesis, which is also known as the purine analog. Azathioprine is usually used used in combination of drugs. It's never used just one. It's usually used with a mixed form of drugs, such as corticosteroids in patients who are likely to develop complications from steroids. Um, there's also important to know about 10% of these patients that take this develop fever influenza. And let's also note that Azathioprine is transformed into a 6-mercaptan by 6-glutathione. 6-mercaptan is converted into thionoxalic acid and 6-thioguanine, which are then used for DNA and RNA, which cause it to impair or like stop the synthesis. And then let's also note that which is all this is excreted by the kidneys. Also important to note that azathioprine inhibits the purine synthesis, and then purines are needed to produce DNA and RNA. And if you inhibit the purine synthesis, there's less RNA and DNA produced as a result of from the synthesis of white blood cells, which results in immunosuppression. Azathioprine, which is converted usually inside any tissue as 6-mercaptopurine, and azathioprine is also called an immunosuppressant, obviously, and this works overall. Summarizing that, it usually works by calming or suppressing your immune system, and this usually results in your immune system being weaker, and that's really it overall topic about my immunosuppressant. And this is a 3D picture I found of the immunosuppressant, and that'll be it for this presentation.